liquid loans, for example, crypto loans with PulseChain. What are your tax thoughts on those?
Yep. So, kind of coming back to the conversation we were having earlier, I mentioned kind of the concept of the centralized protocols. So, like BlockFi and Nexo and the rest of them. Now, when you place your crypto in those, you lose control of your crypto. Now, my understanding with the likes of liquid loans is that liquid loans has no ability to do anything with your staked pulse. So, and obviously until it launches, it's difficult to give any definitive answers because nobody knows what it's really going to do. It's not even on testnet, is it? So nobody's even able to have a play with it. But the concept, as I understand it, is that you will retain control of your coins. It will be in a contract. There will be no third party who can interact with the Pulse tokens you've deposited, and as such, it shouldn't be a disposal. And I say shouldn't, kind of a loose term because I don't know the answer at this point. But that's my general view. If it comes out and does what I've been told, and I have had conversations with the team there, because obviously people have asked me a lot of questions about it. It should not be a disposal. On the other hand, when you draw out your loan against it, that shouldn't be a disposal either. It shouldn't be a taxable event when you draw against your staked pulse. Where it does become messy, obviously, if you then you've got your USDL, you've sold your USDL, and you've bought something else, that's a disposal for CGT purposes, but it's only going to be on the exchange difference between the dollar and the pound. So minimal tax sponsors are going to do that point. And then obviously once you've got out of there, you're subject to normal tax. I think a lot of people are going to use it to draw down their USDL, cash that out, and go and buy themselves Lambos or whatever it is they decide they need that day.
I'm telling you, literally, we got 5 more people watching now after you said that sentence. You brought some good news.
Yeah.
Well, no, not Lambo. I was saying, Lambos too. But like just the good news of liquid loans in the UK. Is there any reason not to use it? Like, is that a legit way to?
I'm gonna lose all your viewers again now. What you've just got to be really careful about is liquidation. Because while the process of putting your coins in there in the first place is not a CGT event, if you get liquidated, you lose your tokens, and you are deemed to have disposed of them at market value. Now that's fine if you've got your USDL sat in your bank account somewhere, or you've got your house that you bought with it or whatever, and Pulse has gone down and you've got liquidated and it's gone. You've got a CGT bill there potentially. Now that's going to depend on how much you put into it in the first place. It is that question of whether anybody would ever notice that you've been liquidated in there, and if you're doing it properly and you tell your accountant about it, and you have been liquidated, and your accountant is aware that you've been liquidated, they have a legal duty to report it. Sadly, so disconnect your Don't. This isn't financial advice, but if you were to disconnect your Ethereum wallet from whatever tracking software you use just after you get liquidated and just never tell your accountant about it ever again, then you might not go to jail. But,
I like the bow you put on at the end.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yep. So liquidation could
liquidation. So let's just, if we do an example, let's say for argument's sake, you sacrificed $100,000 and you got $100,000 worth of Pulse, and you've now dropped that into the that's less of an issue. So let's say for argument's sake I'm trying to think how this would sting you too badly. Okay, I know what the issue is. So you've got your $1,000 worth of Pulse, for argument's sake, that's got a $1,000 base cost. It has now gone up to $1 million, and you've drawn out $500,000 in PUSD or USDL, and you've gone and you've spent your $500,000, and you've got nothing left over, and Pulse then drops 99%, basically down to nothing. You get liquidated. at the point where you get liquidated, which is on a $500,000 loan, is going to be, let's say it's $500,000. It's not, it's whatever that percentage is over the top. But let's say at the point where you get liquidated, it's $500,000. You bought your Pulse for $1,000. It's worth $500,000 when it gets liquidated. You have technically got a gain of $499,000. Because at the point where you get liquidated and you lose your tokens at your disposal, they're worth $500,000. So you've then got a tax bill on a gain of $499,000.
So is the best way for the best financial way to make that better is to hope Pulse doesn't go down 99%? Did I misunderstand that?
Well, the sensible thing to do is to make sure that you're in a position where you have not over leveraged yourself. Red Squirrel, I know, has got lots of strategies for Pulse and staking. Got some interesting spreadsheets, and so a lot of very big pictures with lots of arrows pointing in all sorts of directions. I'm sure he's got lots of things to share with us at some point down the line anyway. But yeah, the thing I would air caution with is just do not over borrow. Do not over collateralize, or don't under collateralize yourself. Don't borrow to a point where if you do get liquidated, you're in deep trouble. Don't spend all your money. You borrow, but make sure that if you do borrow, you're going to put that to one side. For argument's sake, if you borrowed $500,000 on your Pulse, make sure you've got enough that if it does start to drop, you can put some back in the pot. Make sure you've got enough to kind of stop that margin call from liquidating your funds.
Well, I think a lot of people's strategy, again, probably not in the UK now, perhaps, would be to borrow, get liquidated, whatever. You got the money, you lose the Pulse, but it may be advantageous in all these ways, and do it that way. But you're saying in the UK, at least, that
you don't want to get liquidated in the UK. No, definitely not. And the other thing that I think we were going to talk about is kind of just being aware of issues around pricing going up and down as well. Because at the moment, and this is a perfect example, and it's the same thing that happened in 2008, is just keeping that money to one side, keeping some dry powder or whatever you want to call it, some cash to one side, is vital. Particularly if you've gone through a good bull run and you've made some good money, make sure you've got something on the side that is protected, that's again not in something that might go pop or get locked away, actual cash in the bank account. Because at the moment, we've got people who made a massive gain last year, have got a massive tax bill to pay, and their crypto is currently somewhere between kind of 60 and 90% underwater. So if a big bit of advice I would give to people, and it covers that kind of liquid loan situation, it covers market dips, is have some cash in the bank. And we've seen it with the likes of Celsius. We've seen that horrible Terra Luna death spiral where people put their life savings in that thing. Stable coins are a fantastic mechanism in the crypto space, but they're not as good as cold hard cash in your bank. And I think we USDT, USDC, the likes of those, they're pretty big, but who knows when these things are going to fall horribly.
Yeah. The question here: liquidated, wouldn't you act like your coins are being held forever and never sold unless you're 2G? Yeah. Anything to speak on that one?
So, I mean, this kind of comes back to the question of kind of how much do you disclose to the tax authorities? At the end of the day, if you get liquidated from a technical point of view, those are not your coins anymore. They are taken by the protocol and they're gone. They're not yours. You've disposed of them, and if you are reporting things correctly, you are going to be in a situation where that's going to trigger a tax bill, probably, depending on circumstances, depending on pricing, depending on when you got in and when you got liquidated. But the likelihood is you are going to have a gain because you're going to put the money in there. You could have a situation where the actual loss is minimal. You could have a situation where you had 100,000, you sacrificed 100,000 with no expectations. You got your pulse, but you attributed that 100,000 to the base cost of your pulse. You then stuck that into liquid loans. You borrowed 50k against your 100k's worth of pulse, and it then drops down, and you get liquidated without there being an initial pump. And in a situation where you are liquidated from that 50k, your original base cost was 100, you got liquidated at 50, you've got a loss. So in that situation, it's not a problem. It's only going to be a problem where you are, you're taking advantage of the growth in the value of the coin.